McKim, resume your seat.
Sociopaths like you.
Senator McKim,
I'm not going to cop interjections from sociopaths like Senator Canavan.
Senator
I will
McKim, resume
not
your
cop it.
seat.
And what they've got to answer for is death, disease, displacement, starvation, people dying of thirst, arable farming lands turning into desert, and most likely billions of people dead by the end of this century.
Chris Bowen, yeah, that bloke, just told the bloody UN to tone it down. And no, you're not dreaming. That actually happened. The same guy who's been screaming climate emergency louder than a fire truck in peak hour Sydney has suddenly decided someone else is being too dramatic. You couldn't script this if you tried. When Bowen becomes the sensible one in the room, mate, it's time to seriously question what the hell's going on behind the curtain. Before we dive into this Bowen versus UN climate meltdown, where the bloke who used to scream climate emergency just told the UN to calm down, smash that like button like you're slapping a carbon tax on hypocrisy. Subscribe if you're sick of billion-dollar panic parades and want real talk instead. And yeah, grab the Make Politics Honest Again shirt, links in the description. Now let me paint you a picture. Simon Steele, some top UN climate bigwig, touches down in Sydney like he's the ghost of Christmas future. Starts banging on about mega droughts, $6.8 trillion GDP collapse, and fruit becoming rarer than a decent coffee in Canberra. I mean, according to him, by 2050, a bloody banana might cost more than a second-hand Hilux. You'd think the bloke was pitching the next Mad Max reboot. But here's the kicker, instead of cheering from the sidelines, Bowen gives him the political version of a polite slap. Tone it down, mate, he says. Tone it down? Coming from the bloke who once claimed climate change was the biggest threat to national security? That's rich. And yet, here we are. The UN is now so hysterical, it's making Aussie politicians look moderate. Let that sink in, but don't switch off just yet, because this rabbit hole gets way deeper. You see, while Bowen's playing the reasonable adult card, Aussies across the country are paying record energy bills, being told not to run the dishwasher after dinner, and watching manufacturing jobs vanish faster than a schooner on a Friday arvo. But sure, let's talk about saving mangoes in 2050 instead of asking why the bloody lights flicker every time someone boils a kettle in Newcastle. It's almost like this whole climate conversation's been hijacked by people who've never paid a power bill in their lives. Bureaucrats from Brussels, latte-sipping uni grads, and now UN suits flying halfway across the world, on fossil fuel-powered jets, no less, to tell Aussies they need to do more. Meanwhile, we've got Bowen backpedaling like he just realized the electorate isn't buying the fear-mongering anymore. Oh, now he wants targets informed by expert advice in the national interest? What happened to, we're all gonna fry unless we build another wind farm every 3 days? But don't be fooled. This isn't a pivot to common sense, it's panic. The climate grift's hitting diminishing returns, and even the true believers are starting to smell the bull. It's one thing to scare people into thinking their grandkids will live on a desert planet, but when grandma can't afford to run the heater in winter, suddenly those green dreams aren't looking so flash. And Bowen knows it. That's why he's suddenly cautious. That's why he's distancing himself from the UN's apocalyptic bedtime stories. Because Aussies are waking up, and when they do, there's gonna be hell to pay. Let's not forget, just last year Green Senator Nick McKim basically had a televised meltdown in Parliament. Screaming about sociopaths, starvation, billions dead, you name it, he threw it at the wall. Looked more like an audition for a Netflix drama than a serious policy debate. And yet, that's the level of discourse we've come to expect from the climate emergency crowd. Overblown, theatrical, and completely detached from the lived reality of actual Australians. Meanwhile, in the real world, our energy grid's hanging by a thread, power prices are through the roof, and half the country's being guilt-tripped into thinking that running a fan in summer is equivalent to drowning a polar bear. You know what Aussies really want? A stable job, a fair power bill, and a government that doesn't treat them like morons. Instead, we get sermons from international bureaucrats and condescending lectures from inner-city MPs who wouldn't know the inside of a workshop if it smacked them in the face. But the real kicker, and here's where things really heat up, is the hypocrisy. These UN folks jetting around the globe, giving doom and gloom speeches while pumping out more emissions in a week than the average Aussie does in a year. they land in Sydney, wag their fingers, and expect applause. No mate, we're not buying it. If climate change is that bloody urgent, why not zoom in like the rest of us? Why not ride a pushy through Europe instead of chartering planes across continents? They preach sacrifice, but won't give up their business class seat. Funny that. And let's talk numbers, since they love throwing those around. Simon Steele reckons we're staring down a $6.8 trillion GDP collapse if we don't do more. But hang on, we're already doing heaps. We've got record levels of renewable energy. Emissions are down. We're ticking every bloody box. What more do they want? For Aussies to live in caves and eat grass? 'Cause that's where it's heading if we keep letting unelected UN suits dictate national policy. And where's Albo in all this? Nowhere to be seen. While his ministers play climate ping-pong with global envoys, the bloke who's supposed to lead the country is Mia. Probably off launching another review or making a TikTok with Gen Z interns. Leadership? Nah mate, this is what you get when you vote for slogans over substance. But here's what really grinds my gears, the media circus lapping it all up like seagulls at a fish and chip shop. Every outrageous claim, every doom prophecy, plastered across headlines like gospel. Not a single question asked. Not a hint of skepticism. Just parroting whatever alarmist soundbite gets the most clicks. They've turned news into theatre, and the average Aussie into the punchline. You want to know why trust in media is tanking? This is why. Look, climate change is real. No one's denying that. But the way it's being weaponized to push agendas, score political points, and bully everyday people into submission, that's the scandal. That's the controversy. And now even Chris bloody Bowen is waking up to it. That should scare the hell out of anyone who still thinks this whole show's above board. So what happens next? Do we keep chasing windmills while ignoring the fact that half our towns are running on backup generators? Do we keep shipping billions overseas to meet global quotas while Aussies skip dinner to afford the power bill? Or do we finally draw a line and say, nah mate, not anymore? 'Cause I tell you what, the patience is wearing thin. The mood's shifting, and when Australians feel they're being taken for a ride, they push back. Hard. And to the UN, maybe take your own advice and tone it down a notch. We're not your experiment. We're not your cautionary tale. We're a nation that's done more than most and copped more grief in return. Maybe next time, bring some respect instead of recycled talking points. And Bowen, if you're serious about acting in the national interest, start acting like it. No more climate theatre. No more half-baked targets that crash economies. Just some good old-fashioned common sense. If you made it this far, you're probably fuming, or laughing, or both. That's good. It means you're awake. And if you think this message needs to be heard, share it before someone tries to slap a 200% carbon tariff on free speech. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video before someone slaps a $6.8 trillion price tag on common sense. And wear your Make Politics Honest Again shirt loud and proud, because honesty's gone missing in the climate panic room, and Bowen's too busy telling the UN to chill. Thanks for watching, and remember, leadership isn't shouting doomsday prophecies. It's knowing when to say, mate, that's a bit much. And Bowen? For once, you almost got it right. Almost.